welcome back to another video podcast of Porn News Today Live. It is I, your hostess, Alex Mayers, and this time with flat ironed hair. You guys are probably a lot more accustomed to seeing me this way. So anyways, as promised via my most recent video podcast, which I posted a little bit earlier today, I do want to touch on the rather hot story of the week in regards to the adult entertainment industry blogosphere, a bit of drama that is revolving around a male porn director known as Jimmy Lifestyles and some rather poignant allegations against him by, from what I can see, about 4 female porn stars as of current. Now, these allegations all do seem to revolve around his rather allegedly bad behavior, and it's actually not funny at all. The behavior which is described is, from my perspective, very unprofessional, very unethical, and just seems to completely show some extreme lack of respect that he has towards his peers from a professional standpoint. Now, what's interesting about this situation is that Jimmy has addressed these allegations so far, from what I can observe, in 2 video posts. One of the video posts seems to be directed towards the first 2 women who have made allegations against him. Ironically, they both have the name Emma. They actually both kind of look alike as well. Emma Starletto and Emma Hix. And it's very important that I note that Emma Hix was the best friend of the recently departed August Ames, aka Mercedes Grabowski. So I want all of you to keep in mind that Emma Hix, at least from my standpoint, probably has gone through quite a bit emotionally since losing her friend. So she would probably be extremely sensitive to what she feels would be abuse on set. And I think it's wonderful that she is speaking out. Now, another woman who has made allegations against Jimmy Lifestyles is a porn star who I guess I can call her a veteran at this stage. She's at least an award winner. Her name is Adriana Chechik. And I also noticed that another porn star known as Honey Gold has had some interesting things to say in regards to Jimmy Lifestyles. But let me just go ahead and summarize what these allegations are about. Apparently, Jimmy, who is a director and a widely celebrated director, which is probably why he's gotten away with what he's allegedly done for so long, he has hired women for his various pornography projects, but for whatever reason, he allegedly has felt that it's acceptable for him to have sexual interaction with these women, even though he is not always a part of the scene. Now, in regards to the most recent allegations against him, Emma Hix and Emma Starletto, from what I can see in the clip even, that Jimmy posted as his, I suppose, evidence in regards to the issue, it appears that he was not supposed to be a part of the scene. It appears that later on it was agreed upon that he would dress as a leprechaun and put his face in the girls' rear ends, but he did a bit more than that. He had sexual contact with them orally in their rear end, most notably from what I can see in Emma Starletto's rear end. And, you know, I can understand to a civilian that might not seem like a big thing because you're thinking, hey, it's a porn set, you know, it is what it is. But no, that's actually not the case, because these young women were contracted to do a specific act. And when they got to that set, from what I've read on their Twitter, the act that they were contracted for via their agents was altered. Another important thing to note, especially going back to my most recent podcast that I posted, is that if Jimmy Lifestyles was not set initially to be a talent on this particular scene, the question is, was he tested, considering that he has sexual contact with these girls? And it doesn't matter if it's just oral or, whatever kind of sexual act, because there's a multitude of sexually transmitted diseases and infections that can be transmitted without going all the way. Most notably, a sexually transmitted infection that the Free Speech Coalition just put out an advisory in regards to, known as Mycoplasma genitalium. Okay? Being that this Jimmy guy decided to utilize his tongue on, from what I can see, Emma Starletto's rear, was he tested? Because if he wasn't, then he might have potentially exposed her to something, and that could theoretically put her out of the game or cause her to lose work should she have contracted something from him. So I just kind of want to read through some of these tweets that were posted by these young women. Now, first, I want to go over to Jimmy Lifestyle's Twitter, because he did retweet something by Honey Gold. He's a total piece of shit. I was told he was my talent, which he was not, and he was fingering me while recording it. That right there, that's very unprofessional, and from my perspective at least, it's incredibly unacceptable. Adriana Chechik has this to say in regards to Jimmy Lifestyles. I stand with Emma Hix official. Not only did I witness a female talent cry due to disrespect and 10 hours of being on a draining shoot, I also was hurt and had to cancel a day after he made me feel forced to use a makeshift toy that tore me. Ooh, I've heard quite a bit about Adriana Chechik over the years that I have been an independent investigative journalist in regards to the adult entertainment industry. And I'm glad that she's finally finding her voice to speak out, because from what I've heard, she has been through quite a bit. So I do feel that her testimony is valid in regards to what she has to say in this particular situation. I also find it very interesting that she notes the time span that she was on set with this guy. And the reason that I think it's important that we all take note that she's mentioned such an extensive day having to work with this guy is because when you're working on a set and things are going well and things are just kind of flowing, it just flies right by and you're not aware of the time. But being that she's specifically mentioning 10 plus hours, that kind of leads me to believe that she did not have a good time working with this guy at all. Now, I have noticed that there have been some women who appear to have come to Jimmy Lifestyle's aid for whatever reason. And I noticed that one veteran performer in particular said, hey, all women, they have the power to walk off set whenever they want to. They might have the power to, but they might not have the will to. And I think that quite a bit of society learned that from the August Ames situation that audiobook writer John Ronson illustrated in The Last Days of August. She did have the physical power to walk off that set in which she allegedly felt that she was raped, but did she have the willpower and the drive to do so, possibly due to mental issues, psychological issues, not feeling good about herself, low self-esteem? Maybe not. And that tends to be the case quite often when it comes to a lot of female adult entertainers. And that's something that I think a true adult entertainment industry professional, that is, if there's even such a thing nowadays, I'm not so sure that there is, should consistently keep in mind. Now, I am going to go ahead and just read through everything that Emma Starletto dictated on her Twitter account, because I think that she did a very good job explaining her perception as to what happened. And again, I think it's good that her friend Emma Hix backed her on this. I'd like to say that Emma Hix official and I are performers. We will always try and make a scene look phenomenal, but this was not asked or discussed beforehand. Yes, we were told there would be leprechaun face in my ass. Was I told or asked to have my panties then pulled to the side and have a tongue in my vagina or ass? I was not until the very moment it happened, and to be honest, it was so low I could hardly hear. And then he went ahead and did it. You can see in my eyes. Are we going to ruin our on-camera moment knowing it can be posted? No. Emma and I went ahead and discussed the situation before continuing. And I do want to note, I saw the clip and she didn't look prepared for what happened at all, not from my perspective. And I want all of you to keep in mind that I am an ex-performer, so I kind of do know what I'm looking at. Emma and I went ahead and discussed this situation before continuing, deciding on how we would handle this. We decided to continue. All circumstances aside, we thought maybe there's an off chance this was a miscommunication. The reason we find this an even bigger deal than we originally did was because of how it was handled. He continued to laugh in both of our faces, but specifically Emma's, as she tried to explain how this was not okay. He at one point says, quote, "Nobody on VR headsets saw this. What's the big deal?" End quote. In which Emma replied, "That is the problem. That makes it the big deal." And then she started recording, and that's when he continues on to say that he may have, quote, "licked me a bit more," end quote. Which is true considering it went from my rear down. I understand this is porn and we know what we do, but that's the key word. We are aware of what we are going to do beforehand. As we keep saying, yes, we were aware we were doing the scene. Had we been told directly, "I'm going to lick your rear," would still have been a problem considering neither of our agents were consulted. I always try and enjoy my scenes, which I do. And we tried hard here. Hard. Sorry to blow y'all's feeds up. Like seriously, I love my job and will always go past my comfortableness to make a scene spectacular. But the small malfunction in this is we just weren't told there would be any licking or even touching of the genitals, which once again still is not okay, even if it was the case, considering none of the agents were advised, nor was it stated on call sheet, therefore showing it was randomly placed on us. So it sounds like these girls were just blindsided, and that possibly these producers of this particular scene did not want to compensate them properly, or maybe they figured that had these girls known what the scene was going to be, they wouldn't have agreed to do it. Regardless, I feel like these girls were tricked, and that's not right. You know, you're breaching a lot of boundaries here. You are completely disregarding the element of consent when it comes to these two girls. And I just wonder why this particular director, Jimmy Lifestyles, felt that, at least allegedly, this was okay to do to these girls. What I'm thinking is that this particular director has a very inflated sense of entitlement. Over the past few months, there have been quite a few stories, actually, that parallel these allegations against Jimmy Lifestyles in regards to some other pornographers and behind-the-scenes photographers and whatnot. One of the most recent ones that comes to my mind is a guy known as Stills by Allen. There's something I want to say to a lot of you males in the industry who work behind the scenes or maybe even in front of the camera, but who have access to these young women who are just trying to get by in life and who are trying to follow their dream or using the porn industry as a means to an end to attain some other dream that they have. 99% of these women if they were not in the industry, would never talk to you guys. Okay? 99% of these women would not be your friends. Just because an adult actress smiles to your face on set and is friendly to you, pornographers, porn directors, photographers, it doesn't mean that she likes you. A lot of you males in the industry have been there for so long that you have absolutely no concept anymore as to what a mainstream, everyday, civilian, non-adult industry woman is like, or how she thinks, or what is acceptable to her versus what is not. Which is why many of you have no social life outside of the adult entertainment industry. I'm here to tell you today that the adult entertainment industry, for all of you male pornographers and directors and producers and whatnot, it is not your social life or your social scene. It is your professional environment. And the women who are adult actresses in that world deserve to be treated as professionals with respect, compassion, and dignity. If you cannot do that, males behind the scenes in the industry, then it's time for you to leave. If you want to treat a woman like a whore or a prostitute, then you need to hire a woman who is a whore or a prostitute or an escort or whatever. But the women who are adult actresses by default are not prostitutes or your escort or your whore. Okay? They are legitimate, legal sex workers. And just because you're hiring them to come on your set for a sexual act that was contracted with their agent or with them independently, it does not mean that they are obligated to throw in a freebie for you. Not at all. Another thing that I wanted to add before I do let you guys go is that I have noticed that one of my stalkers that I have had to put into the court system and who at some point in the future will face some incredibly severe legalities due to what he has done to myself and my family, has reached out to some of you guys behaving badly and offering to harass, dox, defame, and libel these women who have spoken out. Well, every time he does so, at least when I see it, I screen cap it. Because God forbid this psycho who believes that he's some sort of a vigilante for you jerks. God forbid he pushes any of these girls to suicide. I'm sending those screen caps directly to law enforcement so that they can know that suicide coercion came into place. No woman or man within the adult entertainment industry should be blacklisted for speaking out. No one should be blacklisted anywhere, whether it be in the adult entertainment industry or not, for being a whistleblower and speaking out, because everybody deserves to be treated with respect. All right. So that's about it for this particular podcast of Porn News Today Live. And I'm going to try to just bang out these final Porn News Today Live video podcasts. I have only a few more left to do, but I did want to catch just mainstream society up with what's going on before the entire industry goes straight to hell, because that's where it's headed. I do want to catch you all up with what happened in February, because quite a bit did happen last month. And there's a few other little commentaries that I want to touch on in regards to some of the recent news when it comes to Stormy Daniels and Michael Avenatti, and even what porn's top blogger perceives as a rather racist situation surrounding Axel Braun. So keep following me on @AlexMayersLive. If you have a secured or private Twitter, please do not follow me. Or if you are a pervert with a whole bunch of porn on your social media, I don't want you following me either. But if you're halfway normal and you can keep it together, go ahead and give me a follow. See y'all soon. Bye-bye. Mwah.